welcome to this session. My name is James McGee from Prompt Hospitality. And I'd just like to welcome my fellow panel members here. First of all, Ian Cullen, Director of DSA Architects, Winston Thieler, CEO of Modular Hotels, Andre Harms, Founder and Principal of Sustainability Engineers and Ecolution Solutions, and my friend Jose there, who I wasn't aware was on the committee, but thanks for filling in. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about sustainable hotel design and development. Normally, the images that are conjured up when we talk about sustainable hotel design are these kind of images. And the reality is, yes, it is about these kind of things, but there's a whole lot more to it than purely that. The intention of sustainable design is to eliminate negative environmental impact completely through skillful and sensitive design. Manifestations of sustainable design require no non-renewable resources, impact the environment minimally, and connect people with the natural environment. Beyond the elimination of negative environmental impact, sustainable design must create projects that are meaningful, innovations that can shift behavior, a dynamic balance between economy, society, intended to generate long-term relationships between user and object service, and finally to be respectful and mindful of the environment and social differences. It's quite a mouthful, and this translates into these principles, some of these practical principles. Low impact materials, non-toxic, etc. Energy efficiency, obviously. Emotionally durable design, which is reducing consumption and waste of resources. Design for reuse and recycling. Design impact measures, total carbon footprint. Sustainable design standards, there's a large body of knowledge of that. Biomimicry, redesigning industrial systems on biological lines. Very fashionable these days in this area. Service substitution and renewability. And finally, robust eco-design. When one translates this in terms of hotels, typically hotels are about guest comfort. And what does that mean? That means ventilation, dehumidification, thermal comfort, lighting, hot water, water supply, daily linen change, etc. And the onus on designers is huge, as hotels still need to be commercially viable. I think that's one of the driving issues. The Green Hotel Association says currently green costs 10 to 20% more than conventional construction, and we've got some very interesting input here from our panel members that we'll get to with regards to hotel construction. The technology that's currently in use, typically energy recovery ventilation, grey water flushing systems, water management through low flow fittings, condensing boilers, solar panels, wind turbines, low energy lighting, present detection lighting, double glazing, heat pumps, bioenzymes, low maintenance landscaping, regenerative drive lifts, variable speed extraction hoods. All of these, I think, have been used and combined, and the technology is changing rapidly in this environment, and I'm sure some of our panelists here who deal with it on a daily basis will be able to tell us more about that. One of the best examples of sustainable design is the Verde Hotel in Cape Town, which is Africa's first platinum LEED hotel. And it's quite interesting that they have some interesting things on their website, for example, here in terms of the carbon offsets, the electricity savings, the water savings, and so on. And Andre, who was directly involved with that, will take us through some of these things just now. In terms of the Hotel Verde, the advantages that they have found are the social and ecological advantages, reduced carbon emissions, the more than 70% reduction in terms of energy usage, 35% in terms of water, and waste landfill reduction by at least 85%, and a better guest experience. And obviously savings on conventional bottling and so on. As it was the first hotel done by the group, the investor, I don't think there is comparative information in terms of a similar hotel within the group, but they are looking at expanding, and obviously there will be additional information on their website. The Green Hotel Association lists the following investor benefits, and obviously this is quite important: 4% higher return on investment, 9% higher sales growth, 17% higher operating growth, 30% reduction in general operating costs. I mean, that's pretty huge when one considers that that's a major driver in today's hospitality environment. Tax savings, investor incentives and grants. And now we're going to move on to the panel questions. First question that I have is, what examples in design practice and application thereof will result in successful sustainable design and success of the operation? And I'd like to ask Ian if you could give us an answer on that. Was it Ian?
Well, I can give it a wing.
Okay.
Does anybody else would like to answer the first one?
Let me just see who I... Oh, yes it was, I had it down for you. Give it a wing, Ian.
All right. Just in terms of this South African context and examples, and without endorsing of any particular companies or brands, there are, in terms of the larger hotel groups, we find it internationally with their benchmarking, the certification processes that they go through in terms of establishing themselves in the market, they are able to monitor and identify the needs in the running of their hotels, from the expenses, electrical consumption and all the other consumption. So in understanding their benchmarking, they are able to improve on their products. So we're finding this with the larger groups, Marriott, International Hotel Group, the Hyatt, and other groups. But in South Africa, in the South African context, we're still in a stage of infancy in terms of sustainable design. Andre will be able to perhaps just carry on and answering this question, but they focused on LEED, which is a certification which came out of the United States. South Africa's South African Green Building Council, which hasn't developed a tool, therefore the logic was for them to go to LEED in terms of certifying the building and determine a market standard.
Yeah, perhaps if I can just expand on that, we utilize an internationally recognized and renowned design, green building design and third-party verified rating system, because we wanted to not just have a locally best practice green design, but internationally set some benchmarks and take this concept into Africa. And for that reason, associated ourselves with the international tool. And as you rightfully said, the local green building council simply doesn't have rating system that can accommodate a hotel-type building at that point in time.
Great. Jose, would you like to comment on?
Yeah, of course. I think when you look into the design practice and application,
Into the mic.
when we look at the practice and the application, I think it is important to talk about these. It's all great to be green, you know, it's all great to say that you are green, but at the end of the day, you have a huge impact with the building that you're putting on the land. So I think it's more the construction side of it that has really to change. The designs can change and can be beautiful, any kind of construction model that you have, but the physical building, that is what is really having the impact. And when you look into Africa, you know, that is something that is not being taken into consideration for a long time. So I think is the building techniques that need to change in order to be more efficient, cost effective, and be able to operate as soon as possible. 4 years to wait for a hotel to be built, that's not green, because that skeleton is going to be there for a long time. So changing the techniques of construction is key, because until we change that, nothing else makes sense.
Winston, maybe you'd like to come in here in terms of...
Well, I couldn't agree more. In fact, I work for a company called I Sleep Hotels. We do budget hotels, and exactly that. We believe that the biggest impact of construction is exactly on the environment, the construction itself. The traditional construction can take many months, if not years. And the impact that has on, imagine it's on a beautiful natural environment. We think about all the heavy equipment, all the workforce commuting to the site for months, if not years, trucks, cranes, generators on that site, the polluting agents that come from the construction itself that do end up in the natural environment. That is, I mean, if you really quantify it, it's disastrous.
The years and years and years to pay for your carbon footprint.
Yes.
Correct. So we actually have as our way of approaching and tackling that is exactly as Jose was saying, is with an alternative construction. Basically, take away the construction from the site, go off-site construction, prefabricate. We do modular, pre-engineered steel frame modular prefabrication. Basically, we reduce first the construction site that might take 1 year to maybe 3, 4, 5 months, and it all happens inside a factory, a controlled environment. Basically, we apply modern assembly plant, industrialized process, like we have them today, like in the car manufacturing industry. We're basically still building like we've done. Traditional construction hasn't changed a lot over many hundreds, if not thousands of years, but we have amazing technologies that we can apply to the construction sector. So pre-engineered steel frame modular prefabrication does that, and therefore it optimizes the process down and reduces it down to just a few months, and therefore you have a huge saving in CO2 emissions because you optimize the energy that you use in that process. And it's, of course, as I said, inside a factory. So any residues are controlled and handled correctly. The workforce, everything, the machinery, the uses, it's basically reduced to a fraction of what it normally would be. And that's how we approach that.
Okay. Maybe you could just elaborate where exactly are your factories or factory?
Well, we use a factory in Spain, which is in fact the most advanced pre-engineered steel frame factory in the world. It's located in Gijón, the north of Spain.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you ship from there?
It's very interesting because these
Sorry, into the mic, please.
Sorry, these factories can produce up to 1,000 rooms, 2,000 rooms a month. So, you know, you can imagine the quick to go to market, because at the end of the day, if you're an investor, you want to recover your money quicker, sooner and faster. So the fact that you can have your hotel built, you know, in less than 10 months is,
yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
Inside a factory control environment, you don't have weather hazards, you don't have political hazards. You know exactly how much you're going to pay, you know exactly when you're going to have it. That's the future of construction.
Thank you. The next question, I think we've covered those, the early ones. In the early stages of development, identify the importance of operator input on sustainable design and the net effect. Ian, if you could just elaborate on that, because obviously working with the big brands, it does help.
At the end of the day, with your operator, they're the guys that are going to need to make the profit in the building. And therefore, for it to be a viable opportunity, their input is very important at the outset. A lot of the brands have specific requirements in terms of the operation of the hotel. Those operation costs normally have costs attached to them. The hotel have educate their staff. They have interactive programs with the guests. Everything that revolves around the actual product, the comfort of the client, is considered from the outset. So therefore, in terms of the design, when you bring in on all your other consultants, your pre-design, the work that you need to do right up front is very important. And that's why, in terms of getting the operator involved, is an important aspect. The needs may change, and you may not necessarily, some clients or developers think they can have a universal building. To a degree, yes, that can work, but there are other aspects in terms of the interaction of the operator and the operator experience for the guests is specific to need. Yeah.